So Tom Brady caused quite a stir recently when he talked about a team that passed on him during free agency to keep their current quarterback. He said he thought, "You're sticking with that. Bleep, 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 bleep." Well, he's keeping the identity of the team to himself, but he told Jim Gray he does still use it as motivation. He said, "There's private things for me that are going to remain motivational. They know who they are. Everyone has a choice." I think what you realize is there's not as many smart people as you think. I think it'd be a no-brainer if you said, "Hey, you've got a chance to get Wayne Gretzky on your team or Michael Jordan on your team." "Oh, we don't need him. No thanks. We're good." I love this version of Tom Brady. I mean, look, he has nothing to apologize for. He's the king. Just like Giannis is the king right now, Tom Brady is the king right now. Until you knock him off, that's the way that it is. The Niners, the Titans, Chargers, Bears, and Raiders were all rumored to be interested in Tom Brady during free agency. You, through your deductive reasoning, landed on the Bears.
So I had an early dinner last night with an NFL general manager. And I can tell you that the final two teams were Tampa Bay and the team I had dinner with last night. I can't give up all my sources. By the way, I got so much information. I have like 30 Rolodexes in this gigantic brain of mine I'm going to unveil over the next 2 weeks.
You always do this.
I'm just telling you, there were two teams in the end, and I had dinner with one of the teams. Doesn't mean it's who you think it is.
Well, I agree with you, Tom. There are not as many smart people out there as you think.
There aren't.
There are definitely not.
We're lucky now. I've had some meathead bosses. We got
You gotta have smart people.
Oh, I've had some bosses. Woo!
So the college football playoff could be expanding from the current 4-team format to a 12-team format in the future. Obviously, COVID might have played a small role in that, having to make up some money. But one person who is very unhappy with that potential change is Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney.
Our team wasn't for it. They don't want to play more games. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's 12 teams good enough. So you're going to play more games just to play more games. And I think the more you expand it, the less important the season becomes.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to hear it. I just don't. I don't want to hear it. Of all the complaining about NBA super teams and superstars and pompous and arrogant and the sport with the least amount of parity in the world is college football.
But first of all, I agree there are not 12 teams good enough to win the national title, but there are also not 16 teams good enough to win the NBA title, but you still have them in.
Yeah.
You create these because you want it. When you create a playoff system, the reason basketball has 68 college basketball, because they have 370 programs. College football's got 130, so 12's enough. But you don't create this just for the final day of the year. When you create any playoff for any sport, you want to keep the drama as long as you can in the regular
season. The most amount of fan bases and markets engaged and interested. That's why I like the play-in tournament.
Yes. So what Dabo is saying is, if you can't win, why be in it? But holistically for the sport, I would have no problem with a 2014 playoff, knowing the top 4 seeds get byes.
Right.
You're creating a playoff to engender yourself to like the Pac-12, which no longer feels they can mostly compete.
We already know who's going to be in the championship game or close to the championship game every single year before the college season even starts. That's not good for the sport. Now, do people still watch college football? Of course. Are you still going to love your college team? Of course. But this isn't... People have been pushing for this forever because it doesn't feel fair. And when things don't feel fair, people don't respond well to it.
I would argue college football has hit a total ceiling with ratings. The championship game now gets about a 16, and that's one game. USC Texas got a 22. The sport stopped growing because Denver West, the ratings are down because Pac-12 teams don't compete. So you want Pac-12 teams, 1 or 2, in the playoffs so you get these Seattle,
you want the whole
LA,
country engaged.
Yes, and college football's gotten incredibly southern. I don't have a problem with the South, but it can't be a one-region sport. It's basically Ohio State and the SEC.
Listen, some things are just about money and for the health of the sport.
That's
and
right.
Maybe it doesn't necessarily benefit you right now because you have to play a couple extra games and you're better. Well, maybe you just have to be a little bit more competitive. Hard work, right?
Right. Work harder, nobody cares. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
All right,
News.
I hand out my report cards for the finals. We'll talk about that. Navian, after a busy day, you want to get a hot shower, but what if your kids got home before you after? And if I have Giannis, Drew Holiday, and Middleton, and Brook Lopez backing him up, I'm a pretty good basketball team, especially in the East right now. I'm a pretty good basketball team. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, speaking of all those numbers that you just read about what Michael had done at 26 and LeBron had done at 26, and now Giannis, 5 All-Star appearances, 2 league MVPs, and 1 NBA title with Finals MVP.
It's something.
We've done a lot of comparisons to the Bucks and the Spurs today. Tim Duncan, through age 26, 5-time All-Star, 2-time MVP, 2-time NBA champ. So really the comparison is not LeBron and Michael. It's really Tim Duncan.
Yes, and the team is compared to the Spurs.
It's very similar, yes.
And the knock on the Spurs was, during the Spurs run, the ratings were down because Shaq and Kobe had huge ratings. They broke up, and the Spurs just didn't have that national. They weren't a headline team. They would take, their stars would take multiple days off. Pop started kind of manipulating the schedule. And so I think Milwaukee feels like San Antonio, a cold weather version. But there's a lot of what I'm reading in the last 24 hours is this is kind of a one-off. Okay, Boston doesn't have the size to beat Milwaukee. They're not even close. They don't have the size. We know Phoenix doesn't have the size. Kawhi's not playing next year. Do you trust AD will be healthy? Dame's leaving Portland. Now, if Dame ended up in Philadelphia, then
yeah, to me the conversation isn't really the whole league.
It's Brooklyn.
Is Milwaukee going to come out of the East again next year?
And Brooklyn the primary.
Brooklyn is the challenge.
And if Philadelphia could get Dame.
Yeah, but
well, I don't think that's crazy.
No, if they get Dame, yes, obviously you have to consider Philadelphia in that space, especially considering the health and the pieces that Philadelphia already has.
Yeah,
and they have the coach.
If you
and they have the other star,
Dame, yes. Tobias Harris, Embiid.
But right now, with this moment, it's Brooklyn and Milwaukee.
That's right.
And Milwaukee should be considered the favorite because Milwaukee is healthy.
Yes.
So to me, like whatever happens in the West, that's going to be what it is. Like who knows? There's a ton of different things.
Here's another thing. Here's what FanDuel should put up. Here's a bet I would make. Will KD, Kyrie, and Harden make it through the playoffs with full health? I would bet anything no today.
Yeah.
So when everybody goes, well, like Chris Mannix says, I'll take the Nets. Okay, you're only going to get 2 of them because there's no way all 3 of them, 82 games in the regular season, we get to the conference finals, they're all healthy.
Yeah,
those guys.
I'm not willing to write off KD and Harden completely yet. Yes, the health is obviously a huge factor and all of that. But and I'm not saying that Milwaukee won't come out of the East next year. They should be the favorites to come out of the East next year, even with Brooklyn assembled the way it is because of the health factor. And now they have the health factor and the experience and the confidence, and Giannis is now on another level. Like, for all the talk about Giannis being the face of the league, what is the face of the league? Like, to me, a face of a league is you can ask any random person, whether they're an NBA fan or not, who's the first person they think of when they think of the NBA.
Well, Rodman had that for about a year. I think,
he was never above Michael Jordan.
No, but Rodman was for that wedding years and all that goofy stuff. He was like on
if you ask a random person who's the best player in the NBA
best
right
player.
Now.
Yeah, I mean, this morning to me, Giannis feels like he is leading the league.
Yeah. Yes. But he is in that conversation with LeBron and Steph and KD. But he is the best player in the league right now. He is the champ and the MVP. Not this year, obviously, but 2-time MVP. Like, he is the face.